name is Janine, as Lucy already said, and I am part of the Good Governance for Local Development in the South Caucasus project, and specifically part of the Georgian component, but I'll explain that in a minute. Before I start, Lucy also already said it, the localization process here is still quite new, so there is not that many results yet, but we have many plans, and these plans I'm happy to share with you. And also the slides are going to be quite dense. I'm not going to explain everything of it, but if you have questions, I'm happy to jump back and forth later on. All right, a quick context explanation about our project. We are called Good Governance for Local Development. In short, GGLD. So when I refer to GGLD, then you know what I'm talking about. And this is a regional project. We have a component in Armenia, one in Azerbaijan, and one in Georgia. And I'm part of the Georgian team. And we basically, or in all that we do in all three components, we focus on the subnational level and on governance processes on the subnational level. This is a quick overview of like all the outputs that we try to achieve. I'm not going to go into them. I'm just going to read the objective for you real quick of the whole program, which reads that public institutions in the South Caucasus at the national and subnational level are better able to provide citizen-oriented services. And that means that like these outputs are very vast. The sectors that we tap in are many, but what combines them all or what connects them all is that they're all somehow connected to the local level and to service delivery on the local level. And in the Georgian component, since 1 year, a little less than a year actually, we also got some extra funding to localize the 2030 agenda. And this is where I came into the team to support this process. And this is also already the second point of my presentation, the 2030 agenda in Georgia on both the national and the local level. This is a quick overview of the national SDG architecture and the context. The main entity responsible for 2030 agenda implementation in Georgia is the administration of the government. And under this works the SDG Council, which was founded in 2017. And basically the council is run by the secretariat. The SDG secretariat is also part of the administration of the government, but the people that run the secretariat, like they don't mainly run the secretariat. This is just one of many tasks that they have to do. Plus the council is working in 4 thematic working groups. There's one on social inclusion, one on economic development, one on democratic governance, and then one on sustainable energy and environment protection. And usually they meet about once a year, each group, and then discuss. Georgia in 2015, when the agenda was published, nationalized all of the 17 SDGs. It nationalized 99 targets and then more than 200 indicators. This sounds great, but the process is far from finished. And when you actually look into policy documents, you only see 23% of SDG indicators reflected in these documents. And then 28% are not included at all, for example. And so this process is still ongoing. But still, Georgia was among the first countries to hand in a VNR. It handed in one in 2016 and the second one in 2020. And plus, it already set up a website where you can get all the information. It's about 2030 agenda implementation in the country, and it's both available in English and in Georgian. And this website also contains a tracker of SDG indicators, which is not yet working very well for the general public, but I've been told that the system behind, like the people that can actually access the system behind the website, they told me that there is much information available. It's just not yet made public. Here you can see the website, like a screenshot of it. The local level looks a little bit different. The VNR, then current VNR also states that the localization of the SDGs is important, but it's a challenge, and that as of right now, local actors are not involved sufficiently in the implementation process. The same is said by an audit report that the State Accounting Office of Georgia published in 2019. This also basically arguments the same thing, that the local level is not involved enough if the agenda should be implemented in time. And partly as a response to that, in last summer 2021, the SDG Council launched a 5-year action plan for localization that contains several phases. And in the end, the goal is that the localization is ongoing. However, and you probably heard that already while I was speaking, this process is not yet very well developed, and there are some specific challenges that we also saw when we started to go into supporting the localization process here. First of all, the local level and local actors are not very well considered in national SDG implementation schemes. First of all, they are in practice not included in the SDG Council. In theory, all the mayors are included, but in practice they are not, and they don't really have a say in council meetings. Plus, the local level has also not or only at some points been involved in the VNR process. And the whole process as of right now is a very much top-down process. Even the 5-year action plan has been issued by the national level. And we've talked to some municipalities that sounded a bit, I'd say, frustrated that they are the main actors of the action plan, but they have not been involved in drafting the plan. Also on the local level, you don't see any structures yet to coherently implement the SDGs, and the awareness and knowledge about the 2030 agenda are quite low, which doesn't mean nothing's happening on the local level yet. As you all know, sometimes it's just a framing issue. Yeah, it's more about being aware and about framing certain actions. This led to us, to GGLD, to strategize a little bit about how we can support and come in. The council and the secretariat from the beginning were very outreaching and asking for support, which I think is a good starting point. But since our program is only running for 1 more year and a little bit more, we said that our main criteria for support, first of all, is that anything we do has to be needs-based. Our partners have to ask for it, and then also have to own it. If there's no ownership, then also there'll be no sustainability. And since our project team might have to slow down activities very soon, anything we start, we want to make sure from the beginning it's sustainable. And here are some of the activities that we are planning or already have started. We are right now in the, I would say, top left corner in the analysis phase. We have done a baseline analysis of the local context for 2030 agenda localization. And this is about to be finished within the next 1 or 2 weeks. At the same time, right now, also almost finished, is a baseline study and recommendations on a very specific topic of like monitoring on local level, and then also of cooperation schemes, both national and local. And also right now in the design phase, so almost done, is a guidebook on practical localization steps that also contains a collection of good practices for each of the steps. And we want to use this like as a groundwork to then consult our partners, mainly the SDG Council, and then pilot municipalities that we selected, and some civil society organizations. Plus, this will also be the baseline for any pilot activities that we are planning or already have started. We already started some awareness raising activities and some capacity building. We're about to publish some information material in local language, and then all the baseline studies and all the results will be presented, and we will start some first training sessions in the municipalities. And then for this year, we have planned some bigger awareness raising campaigns in several regions of the country. What has also already been started last year is a guideline on integrating SDGs into municipal program budgets. This is finished and will now hopefully be applied this year. Plus, very successfully, we've started participatory budgeting activities in all of our pilot municipalities. And one focus area is also SDG 5, gender equality, and we've already started to support this SDG in several municipalities. A bit of a cross-cutting issue, and one of our main foci actually is exchange and cooperation. We, like, one of our main goals is to establish a dialogue format or to see municipalities being included in the SDG Council and therefore in the main entity for implementing the 2030 agenda in Georgia. Also under exchange falls a virtual study tour that all our pilot municipalities participated in last year, which was on SDG localization in Germany. And we got the feeling that this was quite motivating for all the people that participated. And we are in constant exchange with NGOs, both national and international. We've talked to several other GIZ projects that are working towards the same topic and that also we used to formulate our own strategy. Our implementation partners, I already mentioned actually, is, and I marked the most important ones here, is the SDG Council and the Secretariat, and we have a very good relationship to them, which I think is a huge benefit. And then we selected 4 pilot municipalities that I'm going to show you on a map. Yes, as you can see, they're called Sinaki, Oni, Sagarecho, and Keda. And our main criterion for selecting them was that they are not yet on the map of any donor, and most of them are underfunded and quite small. Yes, and last but not least, I'm also not going to read all the results that we expect, but our main result I already mentioned is that we really want to support the establishment of a multi-level cooperation format, and that includes every level, and most importantly, the local level. And we also want to support municipalities so that they are aware of and that they are motivated and able to implement and monitor the 2030 agenda by themselves. Thank you so much, or Didi Matloba, as we would say here. And if you have any questions, I'm super happy to answer.